Our next speaker has decided to re-enter the world of Toastmaster speech contests after retiring from that activity in 2001. He is working on the speech which he will compete next spring in the International Speech Contest. For the last couple of weeks, Michael has been working on the physical aspects of his speech. He has chosen to practice for you using project number 5 in the Competent Communicator Manual, Your Body Speaks. Title of this 5 to 7 minutes presentation is Gratitude. Please welcome distinguished Toastmaster Michael.
Gratitude is a powerful emotion. It derives its power from the fact that it grants benefits to the person expressing the gratitude and to the person receiving the gratitude. Even people who overhear the expression of gratitude receive the benefit of having heard that expression. Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, our most welcome guest, Lisa. Gratitude is indeed a powerful emotion. I've been fortunate in my life to have many people to whom I have owed debts of gratitude. Too many, in fact, to talk about in the time that I have available tonight. I'll talk about 3 of the people to whom I have a great debt of gratitude. My first grade teacher in elementary school, Mrs. McIntosh, especially to one so young and small, was a rather large person. This was back in the day when teachers were not afraid to touch the students that they had, especially the younger ones. If you got through a day with Mrs. McIntosh and didn't get a hug, you had had a very bad day. Mrs. McIntosh taught me to enjoy going to school. One of the things that we did every single day in Mrs. McIntosh's class was reading. She read to us. We read to one another. She taught us to learn to love reading. And to this day, I have no less than 2 books going at a time. I read numerous magazines. I am a voracious reader. Thank you very much, Mrs. McIntosh. My senior year in high school, I took public speaking because it was supposed to be an easy A. The second week into the course, Mr. Story, our teacher, asked me to see him after school. And I spent the rest of the day wondering what I had done wrong. Mr. Story did not ask me. He did not invite me. He told me that I was going with him that afternoon to an organizational meeting of the high school's competition speech team, and that I would be speaking competitively that year. He had seen in me, obviously, something that other teachers had not. In October of that same year, I won my first speech contest. It was a humorous speech contest. At the end of the year, I won the humorous speech contest at the Indiana High School Forensic Association speech competition, statewide. My debate partner and I placed second in the state. From there, I followed through as an undergraduate and majored in speech and theater. Mr. Story had seen something in me that many other teachers had simply not seen. I had not seen it myself. Thank you, Bob Story. During my graduate work for my master's degree, I was on a graduate research assistantship under the direction of Dr. Nicholas Fatou, who was at the time a world-renowned statistician. He knew more about statistics and statistical analysis, the scientific method, than any person I had ever met. He allowed me to sit in on some of his classes as I was doing the research work for him. In fact, he even invited me to stay on when I finished my master's degree and go for a doctorate. He wanted to chair my doctoral committee. I felt like it was important for me to get out into the real world after finishing my master's degree. It was unfortunate that after a few years, when I went back to the university for a visit, I stopped off at Dr. Fatou's office. His secretary told me that he had passed away the summer before. I was able to express my gratitude to Mrs. McIntosh all through elementary school. After school, I would stop by her class once in a while just to say hello. Even during high school, as I was walking home, I'd stop by the elementary school and say hello to Mrs. McIntosh. When my parents retired to Sun City, Arizona, my first visit out there with them, I found out that Mrs. McIntosh was also retired in the same town. During her final days, I was able to see Mrs. McIntosh and once again tell her how grateful I was for the lessons that she had taught me that lasted throughout my life. During my undergraduate work, when I was home on vacation from university, I would often stop by the high school and visit Mr. Story's class, and he always asked me to speak to his classes about what public speaking was doing for me, what it meant to me, how involved I was with it. I was able to express to him in that way my gratitude for what he saw in me that nobody else had seen before. Unfortunately, I had missed the opportunity to show my gratitude that publicly to Dr. Fatou. I regret that to this day. So, I publicly, as often as possible, express my gratitude to the people to whom I owe that expression. And there are people in this room and in our club, as you are all aware, to whom I owe expressions of gratitude. You know who you are, the people who have helped me out in one way or another. If I went around the room, I'd have to name practically everybody who's had an impact on me one way or another. Do you have people in your life to whom you owe a debt of gratitude? Have you expressed that gratitude publicly? If not, perhaps when you get home is the time to do it. Madam Toastmaster.